Rootin' tootin' Putin. What is he up to now? How about piracy? The Russian says its businesses can steal patents from anyone in unfriendly countries, which I'm thinking is just damn near everybody. And on the line here with us this morning is the patent professor, John Rizvi, down in beautiful South Florida. John, what is the story here if they start stealing patent? We know that the Chinese have been real good at it for a number of years. What's this going on? Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Well, you know what? I mean, there's always talk in like times of war about chemical, biological, nuclear weapons. What a lot of people don't realize is that intellectual property also becomes a war tactic. Mm-hmm. And Russia has essentially has two decrees that where essentially they've given a license to steal any intellectual property of anyone in Russia or any foreign patent holders holding rights there from unfriendly countries. And it's kind of vague, it's not defined, but clearly this is directed towards any countries that are supporting sanctions.
So what is it? Because we know China's been doing this for years. They say, okay, you do business here, you're going to have to tell us. What you're doing, and you're going to have to give us all your top secret information.
Yeah. So I mean, very similar in the sense that any companies, like for example, McDonald has 850 stores in Russia. Coca-Cola has bottling plants. All of the intellectual property, the patents, the trademarks, the name, the brand. So even if McDonald's were to abandon the physical stores, the oligarch could take them up, continue business with basically no recourse.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about the patent professor, is John Rizvi, about Putin right now, talking about his piracy. It says Russia says its businesses can steal patents from anyone in unfriendly countries. Is this another one of these moves where this guy is so drunk with power he thinks he can do anything?
Yeah. Well, I wish that were the case. I wish it were that unusual, but this is not something that is unheard of. I mean, in fact, after World War I, the United States confiscated all patents and trademarks held by Bayer, the makers of aspirin. So mm-hmm. This has been done before. A lot of people don't realize that patents are territorial. They're granted by countries. There's no such thing as a world patent. And just in times of war, how countries start protecting within their borders their oil and minerals and other physical assets and physical property. Intellectual property is now up for grabs. So that's one of the first things that I think that Putin has done is gone and tried to make sure that they have an adequate supply of whatever they need. And maybe it's retaliatory. Nobody really knows what the end game is. I often say I'm the patent professor, not the Putin professor. So I have no idea what the ultimate goal is, but certainly this is one of the retaliatory measures available to them. And
we're worried about cyber attacks as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's goes hand in hand. Like they say, all is fair in love and war. So certainly intellectual property is not sacred. Yeah. And is not being protected.
Well, he's taken that to heart. We're talking with John Rizvi. You've written a couple of books on patents and innovation, and you just wrote a blog about the Russian threat, John. So this is not something that we're surprised about, are we?
No. This is one of the unfortunate casualties, I think, of intellectual property. A lot of times is one of the things looked at. There's a lot of IP owned in Russia, which is why it's so newsworthy at this point compared to other recent wars that we've seen. But certainly, like in this case, there is a lot at stake. There's a lot of U.S. companies and U.S. inventors that have rights there.
Mm-hmm. Is there any way to protect that? I mean, they could just withhold information or get the hell out altogether, or what?
Yeah. So for right now, the best anyone can do is really just take an inventory of whatever IP you have there and try to document as best you can how it's being used. And certainly that's easier for software and hardware, but technology solutions to try to see and document the access there. And that's the best that can be done in hopes that later on, if there is some recourse or some legal action that possibly becomes available through the World Trade Organization, then you at least have the documentation in place in case that happens. But that's all unknown at this point.
The patent professor with us, John Rizvi. And John, the effect of losing a patent protecting various can vary from company to company, of course, but experts are saying depending on whether they have a valuable patent in Russia. So some of these companies may have invented something while there, and that's in danger?
Exactly, but not even, it doesn't really matter where it's invented. Patents, any inventor can file anywhere. So anyone filing rights to try to protect their intellectual property in Russia, regardless of whether they invented there or invented in the United States. It's very common for U.S. inventors to file patents throughout the world. A lot of times they forget that in times of war, those patents are subject to the country's whim. And if the individual country decides not to honor patents owned by certain individuals, there's really no recourse.
Very good. John, we appreciate the information. Where do we go for more?
Yeah, so I do have on my website, The Patent Professor, I have updates. We have a press page, and also on Facebook, The Inventor's Mastermind, and I post updates there from time to time. Fantastic.
John, thanks for your time. Good pleasure having you with us.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yes, sir.